Hello, everybody, and welcome tonight to our royal roundup or a little bit of royal gossip and an update as to what's going on with the royal family and specifically Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and all of the drama around Spotify and Netflix. We have some new news. So we're going to kind of go through that tonight and discuss. I'll just give you like a slight spoiler alert. Harry going to Africa without Meghan. We'll talk about that in a second. In the meantime, let me know where you're from. I am Deanna from Hot for History, and we like to go live every now and then, although most of the time I'm creating short video content where with kind of unusual history content. I'd love for you guys to subscribe or to share this content. Let me know where you're coming from. These lives are really fun and interactive, and we like to share not all of your comments, but most of the comments on the screen and discuss it. So it may seem a little fast paced, a little crazy, but we're going to be talking about some articles that are out and also just chatting. So let me know where you're from. Good evening from Maryland. Say bless Maryland, Illinois. Yes, and Stephen Rapp brings this up. I have a trip that I am planning next year. It's in April of 2024, and that trip will be to Germany, to Vienna, to Austria. We're going to visit the castles, Neuschwanstein, and also, I always get it wrong, Hohenschwangau, sorry. And we'll be heading to, where the Sound of Music was. But I will also be talking about the history in the past regarding Bavaria. I'll probably go a week before. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is a link in the description, and you can sign up and then also pay, kind of as you go. The package trip covers everything but your flights. And then, if you're getting souvenirs and some extra meals, but there are a lot of the meals included. So anyhow, but it's going to be really, really fun. Hello from Florida. And I am, by the way, back in Florida right now for a little bit. And then I'll be heading back to the Midwest to my old 160-year-old house. But I am here avoiding have you guys had to deal with in Minnesota, I know you're dealing with that, with the fires from Canada and the smoke and all that, because it's been crazy. It was really bad. I think the air quality was at a 206 when I left the other day. It was bad. So I'm glad to be back in Florida for a little bit, and then I'll be heading up to the Midwest. So we're going to discuss latest news regarding the royals, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So first, a little bit of, updates. And you were in Ocala. Well, I'm not far from there. I am in the Orlando area. So what we do know is that Harry and Meghan were asked to move. They were given sort of their eviction notice, I think, several months ago. And then the drama was Prince Andrew was going to move from the Royal Lodge over there. But Prince Andrew is like, heck no, I'm not moving. This is my family. Mommy gave me this place and I am not leaving, even though Frogmore had $2.5 million renovations, yada, yada. But now Sarah, his wife, they were divorced, but they're together. His partner, I will say, just had breast surgery. We wish her well. She found a lump, but she had some cancer. And then apparently she's doing great. But so I don't know if they're going to be moving in, but I know that the Sussexes turned in their keys and they are done with Frogmore. And it's a shame because that is something that the Queen had given them. And it's very sad. Okay, so let me see what you guys have to say. I love your comments. And just so you know, we do like to talk about everybody's opinion, left, right, whatever. I didn't mean to say it like that, but anyhow. Okay, I am so excited. I love your lives. Thank you so much. Watching from Nova Scotia. Okay, so Harry needs to divorce Meghan. There's so many. I think this live tonight is, I think we're kind of, there's been a lot of rumors about this. And I think, I've been skeptical. I've been like, I don't know, but it would just seem like very hard to stay within a marriage with all of this drama going on, getting married, you're already in the royal family. And now you're on the outs, and then there's the coronation, then there's the Queen's death, and then you're together, then you're not together. Then you've got these deals and you got to try to raise the money and blah, 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 blah. You have 2 kids very fast. I mean, it just doesn't seem like things are going that well. But again, we do have to say that, possibly these could be rumors. So we don't really know, but I would like to see him back as well, Darlene, into England. There was just an interview with Liz Truss, I think, on GB News. somebody was so funny. They're like, "Hey, Liz, do you think we should welcome Harry back to the UK?" And she was like, "Absolutely, yes. This is where he's from." And then she was trying to be very diplomatic because she's a politician. They're like, "Do you think that Meghan's ruined him?" And she's like, "I wouldn't say that, but definitely a lot of things that have gone on have definitely seemed like things are not, what they used to be." Something like that. So there was that. In the meantime, this guy Omid Scobie, who wrote this book about them a handful of years ago called Finding Freedom, which was more positive about the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and them, kind of going out on their own. And, he kind of thinks he's like the personal spokesperson for them. He's writing a new book, and I think it's called Endgame, which is very interesting, and it's not going to be complimentary to the royal family. It will not. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hi, Riley. I think they are spoiled brats, and I feel so bad for the other royals. I kind of agree with you. I would love to be in that family. I would have a blast. Listen, I would be, well, we can imagine what we would be like, but I'm really respectful, especially of family ties, and then especially the older relatives. I hang out with my older relatives. Literally on this last trip, I hung out mainly with two 99-year-olds and the two 90-year-olds, and then my cousin who was like 60. So I still am having a hard time with the way that I feel and I perceive that the Queen was treated by Harry and Meghan. I feel like if your queen, your grandmother is getting up there in age and she's so respectable and so amazing, and she's inviting you to Christmas and it's a tradition, and you're not going to have that many Christmases with them, you go. And so it makes me sad. And kind of, it really makes me upset that they disrespected her in that way. And then, fast forward to the coronation, even if you're having drama within the family, at least go. Both of you should have been there. She should have been there. This is what I think. So I agree with you, Darlene. Okay, I'm 71 and would love to be in that family and do all that work. And I'm a cancer survivor. I'm so glad that you're doing well, Darlene. So yeah, all of the things that Meghan and Harry were doing were so positive and so amazing. And then I don't know. It's just stopped. Okay, so Omid Scobie is doing this. He's also just saying that the royal family, better get a life because they're going to get torched by his book. I don't know who's even going to be reading the book. And then there's this. So apparently Harry's lawyer, you guys know that we have that lawsuit, right? And it's been going on for a while. He testified a handful of weeks ago, and it's going to be going on for, I think, a few more weeks. But all of a sudden, his attorney, David Sherborne, decided, hey, judge, before you go and figure everything out, here's some more information. And then the opposing counsel was like, wait a second, you can't do this. You can't slip evidence in at the last minute that we can't refute. And so the judge sided with the opposing counsel, and which was kind of not good for Harry. So that was what that news was about. Let me see. Yes, when are you? The Queen seems so okay. So his name may be on the book, but he won't be writing it. We all know who will be doing that. Oh, yeah, because he's very tight. Omid Scobie is very, very tight with Meghan, and this would be a way for them to kind of get all their vitriol and hatred out without it being in their name. However, there is also word out that Meghan will most likely be releasing her own memoir about being in the royal family. I don't think that's going to do as well as Harry's book. Just my thought. I do not think it's going to do as well. Okay, so, and then Omid Scobie is like, wow, Prince William, he didn't really even want me at the event. Well, I don't blame him, honestly. So there was that's in the news. And then here's kind of like the topic of the evening. We want to talk about Netflix, but let me get some questions and some comments because I love your comments. The Queen did not give them Frogmore. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's crown property. Yes, that is true. It was like a rental or a lease, but she was like, okay, here's your lease. But yeah, that is true. Sorry. They were given the lease as their main residence and nearly $3 million of public funds yeah. So, and that's a common confusion with people. They usually think that Harry and Meghan took that out of their own pocket. And actually, a lot of people even think that it was the king who repaid that. So even the repayment of those updates, apparently came from Prince Charles, who is now the king. So that's what they're saying. So, by the way, did you see that they are discussing, and Brian, you may know better because I know you're in the UK, that the annual budget of the crown or the royal family went over by, I think, £5 million, which, considering, in my opinion, considering they had a coronation and a major funeral, I personally don't think that that's that bad. But I think there's all these, I find them funny. I find them humorous. News out that King Charles is like turning down, like he turned off the heat in the pool. He's like, going into each room and keeping it at 16 or 19 Celsius unless somebody's in there. And so that they're really, getting tight with certain things. I think they spent £100 million rather than a little less than that. So that was the word that I read in the news. But let me get some comments and then we're going to head into this whole thing regarding Netflix. The royal history is interesting. I love it too. Hey, there's there's Elvis in Sin City. No, he is the Knight of Las Vegas. I don't know, Sir Las Vegas. I can't remember what I called you the last time. Very odd that this is a non-business trip and they are not traveling together. Okay, this is the key. So thank you, Stephen, because that is what I want to discuss tonight is, okay, Harry and Meghan have been like, I don't mind public displays of affection. I'm fine with that. But they were like over the top, hand hold, like their hands were like constantly. She was like giving him what some people think are the death grip and like, kind of guiding him, leading him, or like, don't leave me, that type of thing. And you'll see some pictures because I have some pictures that I'm putting up here for so long. And so what happened was with this is what I hear, and you guys can pipe in with what you've heard too, was that with this Netflix, with the Spotify cancellation, because they just did not produce, now Netflix is like, okay, we're grateful for our association with the Sussexes, but word on the street is if they want more of their money, they have to produce. So apparently Harry is going to Africa without his sidekick, which apparently they had, one of their first dates there, hanging out in the, in the tents and all of that. And all of a sudden now she's not coming. And so there's a lot of, I don't know, it just seems like you said, Stephen, just really, I don't know. It doesn't seem like what they would be doing typically. And we have not seen them together much in the past several months. We just haven't seen them together. That doesn't mean anything, but one of the times we saw them was at this, I think it was it a basketball game? Guys, was it basketball? Where it was basically she gave him the hand, talk to the hand thing. Oh no, they want us to kiss on the Jumbotron. Talk to the hand, like don't kiss me, which was, I mean, I guess that can happen after you've been married for a while, but still just seems strange. This idea though, so then it seems like Harry and maybe it's Harry and Meghan, they're trying to make up for what Netflix is like, you better put up or shut up. And that was kind of the title of my thumbnail on this, is he's got to produce something. Now, Harry has a long history in Africa. In fact, word on the street was that they were going to possibly move to Africa instead of Los Angeles, two totally different places, right? But they were considering moving to Africa before they were moving to Los Angeles. Like they definitely would have had more privacy there. But they decided not to. So Netflix was given all these different ideas for these different series. They were like, no. Even their animated series with Pearl, they're like, no. And then they did produce Live to Lead or whatever, but that was a pre-existing produced documentary or whatever. And then they just kind of added their voice here and there. They don't really come out and produce all this original content. So he's going to Africa because it was one of the topics that Netflix was like, that sounds good. I don't know if we know exactly what the topic is specifically, but it may be something like, hey, he's following in the path of where Diana was. I actually think that would be a great premise for a docuseries. Harry alone, in my opinion, because he's dynamic, I think, in his own right, and he needs to be alone so he's not, too. I don't know. I feel like he's influenced too much by external voices, mainly Meghan. But I think it'd be great if he did some kind of series where he's walking in the footsteps of his mother. Like, where did she go? Like, what was she doing? And this may be kind of like that, but I'm not so sure. I don't know. But the fact that Meghan's not going, whoa, it is weird. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second. But let me get your comments. Is he completely out of Netflix and Spotify? No, I don't think so. I think they're completely out of Spotify, but I think Netflix is giving them a chance. And I think what the word on the street is, and in a lot of these articles, is that they will not be renewing their contract in 2025. But in order for them to kind of get the money that was offered to them, they need to produce more stuff. Because otherwise, if Netflix just cuts them off right now and doesn't give them the chance to create more, especially during a writer's strike, because they could go, there was a writer's strike, we couldn't do anything. There might be reason for Harry and Meghan to win their claim that, just pay me out. Which that they would take him to court, because that's what they do. I was supposed to have a 9-minute interview with Harrison Ford, but so sorry. I love Harrison Ford. Actually, a little bit of trivia. My maiden name is Jones. It's Deanna Jones. So Harrison Ford and I are very similar. Okay. So yes, all that money comes from the taxpayer. The Queen was cost conscious too. She paid for the repairs of Windsor Castle after a fire, so it wouldn't cost us. That fire was so sad. Yeah. So just as a reminder, Frogmore, just the history of Harry and Meghan, they stayed in not caught. I think that's what they called it, at Kensington. And that was totally fine for Will, Catherine, and George when he was little, and many other royals. But, it was so small. And Oprah could not believe that they were living there and all of that. And then they got pregnant. And so the Queen was like, hey, move over to Frogmore, which is a great idea. A great setting and the whole nine. And by the way, here's a budget to, try to make it nice. And they did. And so that was their home for the remainder of the time that they were there, and then on visits. And then, so now when they had left, they're like, we're going to pay that back. We're going to pay that back. But, we're going to pay it back. But I think the king actually paid it back, but I don't know. Stung by a bee. Are you Amber Heard? That's my joke. Okay, so I think it's the best thing for Harry to do, get away from her, go to Africa because he has friends there, and that will knock some sense into him. I agree with you because, okay, so here's some pictures, and we'll talk about this in a second, but Harry had so many positive experiences there, and there's some, charities that he worked for that he loved. It was very opposite of what he was used to, all the opulence. He seems to like the earthiness. And his first girlfriend, who, by the way, he mentioned how many times, guys? 180 times during his deposition, and Meghan 10. Chelsea Davy was there, and so he lived there for a long time. So my thing is wait, he's going to Africa without Meghan? And that's where Chelsea Davy still lives part-time. I don't know. I just think it was a bit odd that she's not going. I know that they have kids, but I don't know. I brought my kids everywhere. I brought my kids to Monte Carlo when they were 2 years old. We went everywhere, and there are ways to make it work. And those kids, especially Archie, would remember that. Imagine going to Africa. What a great thing. You really... an awesome, you could get a place, you could still have people helping you out, stay there during the documentary. I know it would be kind of a break of their routine, which, can be intense for kids. But once they get past that, you're creating memories. And I think it's a really great thing. So I agree with you, Glynis. I suspect he could produce something. Didn't he know Jane Goodall? Yeah. He could do things. He could do a nature series. And he could talk about where he's been, what he loves about the place. Because it could be something that he's like an expert on. I mean, he has been there many times. He could tell his own little anecdotes and stories on his own. And I think we like to get more of Harry without his wife. It's just, it seems so strange because look, you tell me, like they're like clinging. Some people called it like the Meghan death grip. It's like she would hold on. I don't even know if I ever, maybe every now and then, if I ever thought my husband was like upset or something, I may add the second hand, like, oh, or whatever. But like typically when you're holding hands for an interview and stuff, you're not like, I mean, one of my sons had a girlfriend like that one time, and my entire family was like, I don't know, she's too clingy. So I don't know. Oh yeah, thank you, Karen, because not only Darlene but myself would need to know that 60 degrees in the castle, or 68. I actually don't mind it cold. I'm fine. Okay, so do I like Bruno Mars? I love Bruno Mars. Okay. Did you see Meghan make a fool of herself after a polo match? I've got that picture just right on cue, Deborah. So this is my whole point. She's constantly with him, like constantly. I would have been like applauding and the one taking my own pictures. Let him have his moment. Oh my gosh, I was in Illinois and my cousin's husband started this amazing club. Well, he didn't start it, but he and his friends, it's like the Swedish, they're all Swedish, but you can join, it doesn't matter. But they have this men's club, 2 of them, and they go and they pay $100 a year and they get their beer cheap and all this, and they just hang out, and they're women there too, and they have like parties. You can do a baby shower there or whatever, but it's this club, and it's good for them to kind of get together and hang out. I'm a firm believer that men need to have their space too. Okay, I hope so. The music was too loud. I could not hear the words. I do not like it. Okay. The Africa idea would be another nutmeg moneymaker idea. She won't go. They despise her after the insults from their 2019 tour. She called the governor's mansion a housing unit. They were using it. Ooh, well, that wouldn't go over well. Yes, his girlfriend was Chelsea Davy, and she is amazing. Like, she's married now. She has a son. She's successful. Honestly, she's probably a lot of things that Meghan would love to be, which is a successful businesswoman, very centered, peaceful, very into nature, but fashionable, beautiful, but understated, like just an amazing, amazing woman. Okay, so if he runs off, she'll say she's been abandoned. He gave her up so much of his life. Listen, exactly. There's going to be an angle for all of this. If Meghan is a narcissist, then Harry is taking needed time away. I definitely think she's narcissistic, but sometimes I feel like Harry is too, because he doesn't seem to, like, I don't know. Again, this is like sideline psychotherapy, right? I'm just sort of doing like the psychoanalyst from a side. I think he has addictive personalities. That's why he's obsessed with the media. He gets obsessed with these things. And even if he's not, let's say he's not drinking a lot, although some people, and Steve, I think it was Steven that mentioned this before, there's word out that in Montecito that he kind of passed out from drinking so much when they had a fight, or they had a fight while he was drinking. I don't know. This was recently a rumor, allegedly. But I think his narcissism is more because he has these addiction tendencies, which, again, you don't have to be drinking all the time or doing drugs to have an addict personality. He's obsessive over things, and he doesn't take accountability, and he doesn't, he never goes, oops, maybe I made a mistake, that was my fault. Like, no, it's always like, look at what they did to me. So that is a type of narcissism. The monarch is only the custodian of all the crown property. They cannot give it away. Yeah, they must make the best economical use of it. And that's why right now the king is trying to do that and get Andrew out, right? He's trying to get Andrew out to live in the other place so that the Waleses can move into the Royal Lodge. I believe that's what he's going for. Thank you, Darlene. Okay, he really could make a great documentary in Africa because yeah, and I feel like, okay, here's a question for all of you, and I'd love to get an answer. Do you think, okay, this could be a three-part question. Do you think their situation is redeemable in the UK? Do you think Harry is redeemable? Do you think he could go back and all be forgiven? I mean, it may take a while. Do you think they both could? Do you think Meghan could without him? Like, I'm really curious. I'm really curious. So people like you are Harry and Meghan's problem. For some reason, you find ways to put down Prince Harry, even when you say something positive. I think we're just evaluating the situation. They are celebrities, so here we go. We're just talking about them. And I think if you've watched this a few times, which I think you have, Ray, because I remember you on here, I'll speak for myself. I'll speak for myself, but I know a lot of people here are the same way. We love Harry. Like we loved Harry and Meghan, so we're disappointed. We're trying to figure it out. And this is entertainment, just like you would go, we're reading the articles. We're doing what every other outlet would do, which would be to try to evaluate this. Do we know? No, we don't know. But they are public figures, and that's what we're doing. The last time I saw Africa wasn't the ideal way to experience any country. I was in Rwanda in 1994 working for the Red Cross. Well, I mean, I think it depends on what country you go to. I mean, Africa is, depending on where you're at, is amazing. I have 3 kids from Ethiopia, so I've been there many times. And then I have nieces and nephews that are from Uganda but living here, and then some Kenyan and Nigerian friends. And so actually there's a lot of amazing things going on in Africa right now, depending on where you are. Like amazing commerce, amazing, just some incredible things. There's some difficult things too. Like right now, I think my daughter doesn't want to travel to Ethiopia, but she went to Uganda, even though she's Ethiopian. So it just depends. I mean, I wouldn't go to Rwanda back in the day either, but I don't really know what's going on there. I probably wouldn't go, I don't know, to, certain countries that are still really, bad like that. So it just depends. And then I think, I can't remember if Chelsea was from Zimbabwe, I think it was, but I could be wrong. You guys can correct me. Meghan could have changed during the marriage now. Yes. And we don't know. She could be keeping her distance. Like, honestly, my husband and I will say we were a lot, like when you're first married, you're together all the time. Once you have kids, you sort of have to divide and conquer. And that could be what they're doing. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't care for Meghan. She plays the race card when she's more white than she is black, but that should not matter anyways. Color is not an issue. Yeah, and I don't tend to like the conversation of level of blackness or whatever, because I've heard it with my kids too, because sometimes they want, they're African and they really identify as African, even though now that they've lived here for so long, they are considered African American, but they identify as African. But I don't know, you get into all of that and it gets, I don't know, it just gets a little intense. So, well, good that Meghan, Mrs. Clean Wrap, will allow him some free time. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe he wanted some space. Maybe he's like, listen, we're going to Africa. And you know what? His agenda could be like, what if he's doing a safari or something? You don't want your kids there. Like if you're in, swanky part of South Africa or a nice part of Uganda. I will say when my daughter was there in Uganda, for example, just a couple of months ago, she, she's not famous or anything, but one of her friends is a famous pop star there. And they had to go around the country with security, and the compound they stayed in always had security. And so, you have to be smart. Okay. And Princess Margaret and the cousins and one of the Duke's cousins. Hey, oh boy. Okay. Maybe he'll check in. Wait, I have tickets for Bruno Mars' New Year's Eve party for 9 years, except 2019, he was in Dubai. Would you like to come to Las Vegas for the show? Listen, let's revisit this on New Year's. I wouldn't mind going to Dubai though. Shameless plug, guys. My son is a YouTuber. He was Drew Hacks, and then he changed to Drew Does. It's like I'm Drew Does, and he just came back from Dubai, and he did a really great video of like all these really cool things in Dubai. And then he just started that channel up, and it's doing great. He's doing some travel videos. So check him out. Okay, so I'm going to take a few more questions and then we'll see. But I think it looks like Netflix at least is giving them an opportunity to produce more content, and I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like, okay, well, at least give them another chance. And personally, my opinion is if he's able to pull something out where he can be natural Harry, talking about like producing it in a way where, okay, it's not like just cringe worthy talking about the royal family all the time, but maybe telling not talking negatively about the royal family, but let's say talking about what his mom did there. And also, oh, look, when I was, right after my mom died, I came over here, or this is the orphanage that I worked on for so long. And this guy is like a brother to me. And these are like family members to me. It's possible that I personally think that Harry himself is very redeemable, and that, people can understand things. I think people in general are forgiving, but I think it'll be very different on the US side versus the UK side. That's my opinion. I don't think it's going to be like the same. I think it'll be very, very different. Okay, so yes, he could, but I think Meghan will be welcome. You think Harry is redeemable, but not Meghan. We'll look what Prince Harry is doing. I am ashamed to him. You just took nonsense. You don't know anything, but keep spreading lies. I'm just reading the articles. That's what I'm doing. Not Meghan, but Harry could. Harry can, but they will not take Meghan, and she wouldn't come to the UK anyway. Now, okay, let's talk about like Meghan. Is she redeemable? I feel like, of course, I think Meghan stateside, maybe the people in the UK wouldn't, but I also think that Meghan could sort of reinvent herself. And I think that's probably what they're working on with her new agent. And maybe that's why she's not going with him. I don't know. But I don't know if you were offered 100 million and then all of a sudden you still needed to get the second half, like 50 million, and it's you with your kids in Montecito, but your husband needs to go and film some things in Africa for a few weeks. Maybe he would. This is kind of my life. We travel a lot. So, I can understand that. It just seems out of context considering that they were so together. Couldn't attend coronation or take kids. Oh yeah, this is what I thought the same thing. Couldn't attend the coronation or take the kids' family starting to get very dysfunctional, but he's able to go to Africa and not make an excuse that he has to get back to a birthday or something, So of course I have all the time in the world to go to Africa, but coronation and, being on time for my court case, no, sorry, that doesn't work for me. So there's a lot of contradictions with them. I don't think Meghan wants to live in the UK, but would visit. My 2 biological children died within the last 3 years. I'm so sorry, but I have a son I adopted from Honduras. Well, that's awesome. He's an engineer. Incredible. I have a daughter from Guatemala too. Guatemala, Ukraine, and then 3 from Ethiopia, and then 2 by birth. I thought it was South Africa. It's possible. I don't know if he's going to South Africa. They just said Africa. So I'm not sure where in Africa he's going. Maybe I needed to look, I needed to read between the lines or something. I don't see how they can throw Andrew out of his home because it was given to him. I think that's what Andrew thinks. But yeah, there's like definitely infighting with the brothers. He doesn't seem to be wanting to leave, but it is an awfully big place. Okay, he will never be accepted as anything but a traitor. Okay, he will never be accepted by anything but a traitor to the nation and his family. He's now shown himself to be arrogant fool. We've all known he was for years. So I wasn't sure he was an arrogant fool. I kind of knew he was, he made a lot of mistakes, but I think so many people, because we weren't as I don't know, there was still kind of a buffer around him that it could have been interpreted, which is how I interpret it, is like, look, he's just being more natural. He's not as stuffy, he's kind of thinking out of the box. He's doing different things, because I'm looking at him, from my eyes as an American. Once I started to get to know all these things from these interviews and kind of leaning in more, the book, all of that stuff, the Oprah interview, then it was like, like that's when I personally was like, whoa, yes, arrogant fool. And that's when I thought actually he was narcissistic. I know everybody saying that Meghan is, which I kind of think she is too, but that's, yeah. Yeah. But I hear that a lot, Brian, regarding the UK, that people are they're done. They are done with them. The polo match was a classic. The video showed his buddies gave her cold shoulders, and they were young. It's like some of these guys, it's so embarrassing. I would be so embarrassed to go up there in my little outfit, at the polo match. Let him have a minute. I see Harry living in the UK and US, and the kids living with Meghan. Wait, you see that happening, or it's happening now? Thank you, Riley. Okay, Raymond. Meghan is great on her own. They're better together. Before Harry, Meghan was a self-made millionaire, humanitarian, millions of podcast followers, awards, spoke at the UN, and has her own ties to Africa. Yeah, I mean, I think possibly what we're trying to, like, let's talk about it from a PR standpoint. So maybe what they had to do was they got married, and all of a sudden it's like, what's the narrative of you guys together? Okay, because we know he's the prince. Not everybody knew everything about Meghan because she wasn't a huge star, but then they kind of prepped us as to what she was. And then, but then together it was like, whoa, what the heck? So maybe what they're trying to do is still kind of tell the story of the Sussexes together, but independently. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Chelsea Davies from Zimbabwe. Yeah. Okay. Formerly known as Rhodesia. Thank you, Brian. In context, summer is a time for family trips, running back from coronation and now running away from family. What I read, Andrew thing won't happen. So he's not going to leave. I do think that the news about him being kicked out has kind of died down, and they're just quiet about it now. Harry would be accepted back in his family, in my opinion. Yeah, I think King Charles, especially, all he wants is Harry and Meghan and the kids. That's his dream. Camilla, not so much. I think she's going to be a hard one to win over regarding this because of certain things he said. And the king, okay, so I'm just going to take a couple of I love Prince Harry. I think all of us have loved him, but I don't know if I've definitely, my opinion's definitely changed. Although I do hope, I have a feeling that this Africa thing, if they do it right, is going to be great for him. So not what I read. UK people appear to be sick and tired of them. We merely analyze facts and what they are doing or not doing. That's right. These folks just think, some here just hate them. Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I hate them. I'm not even thinking in that way. Like, I honestly don't. It's sort of like watching, you know what it is? It's like watching your favorite sports team, and then you're so frustrated because they keep losing, and you're like, why did they put that person in the game? Why did they put that person in the game? That's how I feel. I don't feel, I don't feel like I hate them. I just feel like, why did they do that? Why do they keep doing that? Are they going to do that so that it can make things look better? Why do they do that? Oh my gosh. Like that's kind of how I am. Okay. Look where Harry is now compared to before Meghan, and Harry has achieved so much. He's no longer a spare for that lackey. Well, I'm sorry. I need my glasses on. You know what? There are a lot of positives because, okay, guys, think of it this way. There is a lot of change and drama going on in the royal family now, 1,000%, because of the queen passing away. Now, even this latest news about them not like their budget kind of falling short, we've said before that Harry and like and Harry did say, well, I did this because I needed to make money. Like, why did you do Netflix? Why did you do that? And he's just being honest, because you leave that organization, like, how are they going to make money? How would they make money? And they're used to, it's not like a former prince can just go and live in like a suburban house, like even like, you know, a nice one, without having, like, they have to have, even if they break it down, a certain amount of security and all of that. They just have to, because that's just the way of the world. So there are some aspects of this, like, and in media in general, oftentimes when people are the most upset with certain people, it's also, in the world of PR, still a good thing. South Park, yes, you could interpret it as being, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing ever, but sometimes when you're spoofed, you become more famous. And the fact that they do have Netflix, he could, I don't know, we'll just have to watch. But it is, I do think, to explain it, Ray, because I know you said that, you know, I hate them or whatever, but I don't hate them. I don't think you said exactly that I hate them, but whatever, is that it is like that. It's sort of like watching a team, and it's just how different people see it. You know, I don't know. Sometimes it's better not to know as much. And so I feel like they expose themselves way too much. And I didn't see it always as a positive, but I can understand why they would go off on their own to try to make it. And she has the American connections, and where else better to do it than in America, you know, where they will sign you because of our massive entertainment, you know, brand, you know, the market that we have for entertainment. Um, and yes, we all, as far as his mom passing away, there's no way for us to know what that felt like. There's no context. I mean, even if other people who have had parents die, you haven't had parents die, and then you're a royal and you have to like go out and walk around, and then you don't really have any comfort. Maybe, I don't think he really had the right kind of therapy in the beginning for counseling. And then you're supposed to just, you know, put on the face and then walk behind the casket, try to be stoic while the rest of the world is grieving. You're supposed to be trying to greet them like it. And then there's just so many things that we don't get, because we think, at least I think, oh my gosh, they're royal, everything's perfect, right? But no, it makes it more complex. He spent time in Botswana before he hooked up with Meghan. Just analyzing, yes, the current events, which is history in making. We have facts as to Meghan's rating. Yes, Meghan did. There was a rating out. Okay, now I don't remember which specific rating it was. I don't know if it was like a Reuters thing or whatever, but her rating came below Harry's and below Andrew's recently. Those things can change. I'm sorry if no, don't apologize, Darlene. You didn't offend anybody. It's fine. Prince Andrew was given Sunninghill, which he said the Queen allowed him to stay in the Royal Lodge. I've never heard the property was given to him. Yeah, you know what? I don't know Sunninghill, so I'll have to check that out. Okay, if Netflix is doing that, but he was part of the contract, it was part of the contract. Yeah, now that is one, like, some people are just saying, oh, they just kind of want him to do something. They just want him to do something. But I did hear several people say that this Africa idea, whatever the whole premise is, was one of the better ones that Netflix actually liked, because some of the other ones were like interviewing Putin and Trump, you know, about their awful childhoods. They should have never took and Harry's military rights away. I think I'm going to call her Bunny. I think she was able to explain this to me one time. I think, but I also didn't understand that, Darlene, in the beginning, because it didn't make sense to me as to why, just because he left the royal family, or let's say being a senior royal, why after doing, I think it was like, how many tours, guys? 4 or 5 tours, why they would have taken that away. But I think it has something to do with, you have to be active, or I don't know, in good standing or something. Yes, that's right. You followed it your entire life, Brian, and I would, and you guys get extra doses because it's in your culture and it's there all the time. And some of us are kind of catching up to things. And so let me ask you this, Brian. I can imagine it's the type of thing where, how it is with when you have a family, and it's like, you can say things about your family, but other people say things about your family and you're upset. So like, I'm sure people are critical of the monarchy because you have what they call the Republicans, people who want it just to be a republic, and then the monarchists or whatever, and then, or the royalists. And then, so there's got to be all this talk. And yet, when one of their own talks negatively about it in a major way, then everybody's like, whoa, no, you crossed the line, right? So, I think Meghan has already moved on to the next man. There were some rumors. I don't know. I don't know if I know who Alexander O'Neill is. Okay, couple more questions. They really do love Harry. That's their son and brother. Yes. Face it, this is called separation. Woo. We haven't seen them together a lot, but again, we're just speculating. Okay, all right. Okay, I bet that fight was about Africa, speculating, but true maybe. Oh, I think, okay, let's talk about Stephen's talking about the fight in Montecito where he ended up apparently passing out and getting drunk and going to the hospital, but then it was taken out of the newspaper, so we don't really know if it really happened, but it was in the paper. Or it could have been that they just found out the news about Netflix and Spotify. I don't know. Harry has already made the moves to be a billionaire, earned, not inherited. Like, well, yeah, but I don't know if he's going to become a billionaire because, oh my gosh, he's spending so much money on the lawsuits. And I understand that that's one of his passions, but I don't know. But that is true that he has made moves, and whether we like it or not, we may be upset with like the choices they've made. I think I heard the guy on TMZ say, you know what? If Netflix signed me and said, go ahead and be an artist, I would learn how to draw pictures. And it seems like, Harry wasn't necessarily a producer, but they're giving you $100 million. So go ahead and do it. Did you see how she grabbed at a box like item non-trophy and Harry essentially body checked her? No, I did not see that. I will have to look. Ratings and polls are BS. They can be made to target a narrowed audience. That is true. You have to look at video of Polo Match. Okay, I will look at it. As far as the award, or the awards, I think you mean what they took were awards and honors given, not earned. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate. Some people, Raymond, are saying that the awards were like not genuinely earned, but bought. Again, I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that's what was out there. They built Sunninghill Park as a wedding present for Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. She was allowed to stay on the property until she couldn't afford the upkeep. Andrew moved into the lodge. Oh, okay. That's what you're talking about. Okay. I keep saying I'm just going to take a couple more. The new monarch can end leases at will. Yeah, they are charged with making best use of properties. Lease has no legal strength in these cases. It's merely a permission to live in it. You could have budgeted better for their money. Okay, let me see what she's saying. Okay, and then we'll call it a day. Sunninghill Park, it was a wedding present for Prince Andrew. Okay, wait, I already read that one. Why no conversation about Williams and Kate's problems? Sometimes we talk about them, but quite frankly, they pale in comparison as far as the news cycle goes. That's just where we're at right now. The more of that in the news, the more we would talk about it. And so, and you could say, which could be true, because I believe some of it's true, that, they neatly keep it out of the news. But it's just, I'm just not hearing it as much. All I heard, I mentioned, or did I mention that Will went out with his friends for his birthday to a nightclub And of course, Kate wasn't with them, but they were with Guy Pelly, and then also with Charlotte's godfather. I can't remember his name, John something or other, but they were out at the club trying to awkwardly dance and have fun. They used to be partiers, so it was apparently to celebrate his belated 41st birthday. And I know that he's gone through a lot of stuff, so that's why. Sunning Hill was the property first lived in. It was dubbed South York. As it was said to resemble South Fork from Dallas TV series. That's so cute. I would like to dive in a little bit more about Sarah and Andrew, but Andrew is very controversial, and so I try to stay a little bit away from him until I guess more news is out regarding what gives. Okay, so I think that's it, guys, for tonight. And I will be coming back, I'm sure, now that I'm here for a little bit. I hope you all have a great holiday, great 4th of July. And please do subscribe and then look in the description. I would love to have any of you or all of you on our tour of Germany, the Neuschwanstein Castle, which is so interesting. This guy, Ludwig the second, and how he built this castle, the Cinderella Castle. I live right next to Disney. I used to work as a singing Disney princess in the studio, Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty for years. And so I'm fascinated with that because I'm really excited to see that. Finally, I also do have family history in Bavaria, and I cannot wait to sort of research that. But we're going to have a blast. It's 8 days. We have professional guides, kind of leading us around. It's like 3-star hotels, but they're nice hotels. And then, and that's paid for with the Trova trip that I have. So I would love for you guys to come. You can, I think, pay in increments. And then I will be doing kind of content up to that regarding Germany and, the castle. And then when we're there, we'll be having some meet and greets where we're just talking about the history before we go. So it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be the beginning of many. I'm sure I will be in the UK. I'm sure I will be all over the place, provided I can get these things booked. So anyhow, one more quick point. Okay, Ray, did I miss? No, you might be typing. If you think Harry would leave his family, you're crazy. Okay. Well, wait. Oh, that family. Yeah. I don't think anybody said that he would leave his family, but if they get a divorce, I think if they get a divorce, he would be wise to stay there. You want to be around your kids. I'm a child of divorce. I wouldn't want yeah. Okay, I'm going to go, guys. Good night, everybody. And we will talk to you soon. Have a great night.